Alrighty. It is a smoky Sunday morning. Oh, kind of dumped the clutch there a little bit. Oops. I hate this road because of this tar strip right in the middle of it. If you're riding it, it's, I don't know, bike just wants to sit in it, you know. So it's been about, well, maybe even a little over a year. Yeah, it has been a little over a year since my last video. And, you know, I kind of wanted to make a little update. You might notice a couple different changes to the bike in the video. Maybe not, I don't know. Still sounds great. Brother. Am I still happy with my purchase after a year and like 1,500 miles? Granted, that's not a lot of miles for some people. It kind of is for me, for a bike. You know, this is only my 3rd year riding. So, yeah. Am I happy? Absolutely. Does this bike have issues? Yeah. Not like mechanical issues, but it's got engineering issues is what I'll say. So what I mean by that is, you know, I'm sure you guys have read up on it if you're into victories, especially the cross country. If you read up issues about it, you'll see that a lot of people have an issue with wind buffeting. I do have that issue, and this is the 3rd windshield I've put on this thing to try and alleviate that, and 3rd time's a charm, I think. This one's adjustable. It's a Madstad windshield. I bought it to the tune of about $300. And, you know, is it worth it? Yeah, I think so. They, if it can alleviate the wind buffeting that I do, and not everybody has wind buffeting on these bikes. I seem to think maybe it has something to do with the people that wear a helmet versus not wear a helmet. When I test drove this bike, I did not wear a helmet, so I didn't really notice anything like before I bought it. And as soon as I put a helmet on, that was like one of the first things I noticed was the wind shaking my helmet around. And if you don't wear a helmet, I guess it's not really an issue, but I'd rather wear a helmet and deal with wind buffeting than not wear a helmet and not deal with wind buffeting. So it's really not that big of an issue for me. It does give you a headache after a while, but what's a headache every now and then, you know. This is my 3rd take of this video. have been trying to make this video for the past 3 weeks. I do it on the weekends. I'm a weekend warrior. And I can't seem to get the audio right. This is the third microphone I've used. I used a wireless lavalier microphone from China. That didn't seem to work very good. I used the same microphone I used on the last video, and that didn't work, which is weird because it worked fine in the last video, I think. And now, so I can't plug something into my GoPro because I have the GoPro Hero 11 Mini, and you need to get a whole nother interface to plug in a microphone directly to it, which is fine, whatever. I think that so what I've been doing is I've just been recording off of my phone and syncing it up in the video editing software that I use. And last video worked fine. Maybe a little windy, I don't know. But same road I'm on in the last video. A little different route there, but yeah. But this video I'm kind of just rambling, just like my last video. Something I did the first take, I said that I kind of liked the sound of. So I came from sport bikes or sport touring bikes. You know, I got an FJR, and before that I had an FZ6, both the Yamahas, and both great bikes, just not for me. Man, is it humid today, holy buckets. If I would have gotten out any earlier, I wouldn't be able to see the road ahead of me. There's so much wildfire smoke. It's even hard to breathe still, but, and you can see it's kind of hazy in the sky. That's not clouds, that's smoke from wildfires. So yeah, I came from sport bikes, sport touring bikes, whatever, and you know, I like them. They're fast, they're cool, they're fun. They're not for me. They're not built for me. I am getting older, whether I like it or not. Some people say I'm still young, but the young people say I'm old, so here I am, kind of a middle of the road. I have a feeling I'm gonna get told that I'm young still for the rest, well, not the rest of my life, but for a while. But yeah, so I got a cruiser. It's the whole reason I got this thing, because I don't really, I don't know, you'd say a bike is more like your personality, or it, you know, it kind of goes with your personality, and sport bikes, sport touring bikes, not really my personality. Harley Davidsons and Indians, also not really my personality. Kind of Victory is kind of the outlier, you know. They don't really see a whole lot of love from Indian or Harley Davidson, despite, you know, being the predecessor to the new Indian, being Polaris owns both companies, and they ultimately decided Indian was a better marketing strategy, what have you. But, you know, I just think they kind of blend in with each other, Indian and Harleys do. I think the world needs a Victory. Motorcycles. Well, they need a Victory too anyway, but they need a new Victory motorcycles. Maybe if Polaris ever decides to make these bikes again, that'd be cool. It's kind of like the Pontiac, you know. They're different. They look different. They perform differently. Granted, late stage Pontiac was just essentially a rebranded Chevy, but and my first car was a Pontiac too. But I don't know. I think these bikes, they got a special place in my heart because I feel like the bike's personality is very similar to my personality. You know, they're kind of weird. I'm kind of weird. They look different. I look different. I don't know. Something I said in that last video, or my first take of this video, was in a world of Indians and Harleys, be a victory. You know, stand out. Whether it's good or bad, I don't know. I am getting used to the weight of this bike. That was the one thing I was kind of like about, you know, was the weight of these bikes. You know, this bike weighs 845 pounds. I don't know if that's wet or dry weight, but I love the engine. It's one of those things, you know, you gotta get kind of, especially from riding sport bikes, you gotta get kind of used to the V-twin. Lower RPMs, it's very jerky, because you only have 2 cylinders. But once you get used to it and kind of understand, especially the Victories, they like to sit around that 3,000 RPM range. You know, you get power to go, you get enough engine braking to stop. You keep it around that 3,000 RPM, that's where it's happy. You know, if I shift up to 6 now, I'm at 2,000 RPM and I floor it. It doesn't really like to move, but you know, go back to 3,000, then it moves, you know. What's this guy doing? I want to pass you, but see, she likes to scoot. Granted, it's not as fast as a sport bike, but I'm kind of over those days, you know. I've been 140 miles an hour on a bike, and even some people are going to say that's slow. I don't need to do that again. I don't want to do that again. Sport bikes aren't for everyone. Cruisers aren't for everyone either. There isn't going to be a bike that's going to be for everyone. If that makes any sense. That's why there's a variety. And a lot of companies like to kind of weave that, you know, kind of be the master of all bikes, like the Goldwing. Granted, that's about as close as you're ever going to get to being the bike for everyone. You know, it's got cruiser elements, it's got sport bike elements. I've ridden one of the newer ones. They're phenomenal. They got power, they scoot. The transmissions are awesome. smooth. They're great bikes. That is probably the only bike I will trade this bike for. It's just they're great bikes. This bike, see, right now is a perfect example. I would be having crazy wind buffeting right now going 75 miles an hour. I'm speeding, obviously, but I would have crazy wind buffeting right now, and I'm just getting the most minute amount of wind buffeting. Now, when the wind's head on and it's blowing 20, 30 miles an hour head on, and I'm going 80 miles an hour, then I'll get some wind buffeting, but why is this person going so slow? Are they turning, or I don't get it. Are you turning or what? It's one thing I love. This exhaust on this bike. It does get kind of loud after a long trip, but turning, or what are you doing? You're just going slow. I love this road. This is one of the more twistier roads around where I live, and it's beautiful. A lot of bikes go on this road because it's, you know, it's relatively flat here, so a lot of flat straight roads, but this road really isn't. It's pretty curvy, hilly. Beautiful, I love it. I do have a small valve cover leak on this bike, which is not ideal. Gotta adjust my phone there. Not bad enough to where it's like dumping out, but I should probably fix it sooner rather than later. Another question I have, you know, if you're looking to get a Victory, is should you buy one? The answer to that is a tentative yes. They're cheap right now, especially. And I think in the next couple of years they're going to get even more cheap when parts become less and less available. You know, Victory still makes parts for these, or Polaris still makes parts for these, but they've only committed that until 2027, which is close. It's coming up. Something I realized, today's June 1st when I'm recording this. We're going to be steadily approaching closer to 2030 than we are 2020, which is wild to me. There's so many bugs on this road. Holy crap. It's like raining, but bugs. Holy crap. Yeah, so a tentative yes. Why do I say a tentative yes? Well, because parts are going to be less and less available for these things, you got to know how to work on them. Less and less shops are going to be working on them. Less and less parts are going to be available. So you're going to have to get creative with some stuff. I'm a mechanic for a living, so I would say I'm pretty well versed in I'm comfortable with working on these things for the years to come. You know, I'm able to fabricate things as needed and get things going. I'm not the best mechanic there is. You know, if you meet someone that says they are, then they're obviously lying, or they're too confident in their skills and they're going to mess something up. If you don't ever make mistakes as a mechanic, are you really a mechanic? Or do you just not own up to your mistakes? You're going to make mistakes as a mechanic, because I'm going off on a tangent. It's another life lesson, especially becoming a mechanic. You know, we're always so angry, people say to us. Well, we do have a very stressful job, being a mechanic. I mean, there are more stressful jobs out there, but I think I'm going to turn around up here. I don't really want to go all the way up there with this air like this. Fuck, I love the sound of this thing. Oof. Oh, yeah. I don't really want to turn around. There's a house right there. So this road goes pretty much an hour north of the town I live in. So, you know, the wind's heading directly on it. I'm getting just the most minor wind buffeting. Granted, it's not a very windy day today, and I could adjust that even more so that I don't get very much. It's just hitting the very tippy top of my helmet, which if I duck my head down a little bit, it pretty much goes away. But then I'm looking through the windshield, not over it. I don't know. I just got this windshield. This is the second longer ride that I've been on with it, so it's, I don't know. I'm hoping this microphone works out. So I'm using the Cardo microphone. I didn't realize you could record on your phone with the Cardo. Until my last take, I saw that there was an option for the Cardo, and I was like, what the heck? Because on the last phone that I was using to record, it wouldn't let me for whatever reason. I gotta tuck my strap, or my sweatshirt laces into my sweatshirt. I had to adjust my throttle cable because there was like, seriously, like an eighth of an inch of free play, which is like crazy. You're supposed to have like, what is it, 3 millimeters? And I had like a centimeter. So I adjusted that, and I must have, I don't know, I must have done something wrong. I thought I did everything according to what the owner's manual of these things says, but apparently not. I'm gonna be going down to South Dakota later this month, actually, in a couple of weeks. There's these bugs again. I think I got one in my helmet. Ah! And that's a dead snake on the road. gonna be going down to South Dakota next month, down to the Black Hills area, Sturgis area. I'm renting an Indian Pursuit. Gonna go just for a day. Gonna go explore that area. Maybe go and look at the Devil's Tower in Wyoming, but kind of a different plan. I don't know. I might record a video down there, might not. I'm not sure. That's another bike I like, is the Indian Challenger Pursuit. They're nice bikes. I like the look of them. They look different enough that you could tell those apart from the Harley Davidson equivalent. That was one thing. Yesterday I was at a car and bike show, and I saw a Harley pulled up, and I was, I don't know, sitting 50 feet away from it or whatever, and I was looking at it, and I couldn't tell whether it was an Indian or a Harley because I didn't see it pull up. I just looked over and saw it, and I didn't know. I couldn't tell. I had to Google them both. The Indian Challenger, no, not Challenger, Chieftain, and the Harley Street Glide, I think it is. I don't know. I'm not too well versed in Harley model names. They're all kind of whatever kind of glide it was. I'm not too sure, but that's the kind of thing it made me glad I own a Victory, because you can see a Victory from a mile away and you know it's a Victory. They got that distinct look, you know, that special headlight. That's pretty similar across all the Victories. You know, it's got that kind of oblong, weird shape to it. And the Vision, especially, you can tell from a mile away. You know it's a Vision. They kind of look like a Goldwing a little bit, like an older Goldwing, but you can tell it's a Vision when you see it. And you know, Harley had a lot of problems. They kind of got a bad reputation over the years, and I think Victory kind of helped them in a way. You know, they produced the Milwaukee 8, which, in my opinion, I know a lot of people have differing opinions. I think the Milwaukee 8 is the best engine Harley's ever made. You know, it's smooth. Granted, I've never ridden a V-Rod, so I'm not totally sure about what the V-Rod. A lot of Harley people don't like the V-Rod because it's not a real Harley, but that's another thing that kind of irks me a little bit with Harley owners, is they are die-hard. And Indian people too, they're die-hard. And you could consider me a die-hard Victory owner, but I've owned a lot of bikes in the last 3 years. I've owned 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this is my fourth bike. Fourth bike in 3 years. And, you know, you kind of got to find your niche, you know. And And I think I found mine with victory. I'm happy that I did, because you don't see them around really ever, especially the cross country for whatever reason. I don't see a lot of Visions around here, but not a whole lot of cross countries. One thing that surprised me is I take 2 with this video. I went up here and I did a quick pull from a stop, and it actually picked the front tire up a little bit. On the 1-2 shift, it picked the front tire up, and I was like, God, never done that with this thing. It wasn't very far. I mean, this is a heavy bike, heavy long bike, but, and it's completely stock too, which I find crazy. Honestly, this windshield for this bike, it kind of made me fall in love with this thing again. I was kind of I don't know, regretting is the right word, but second guessing my decision on, you know, buying and owning one of these. But I'm glad I did, because, and I'm glad I bought this windshield. This is the best windshield I bought. I might get those front fairing mounted wind deflectors from Polaris, those factory ones. This bike wasn't optioned with the factory wind management package or whatever. Which would include a taller front windshield and those lowers. Lower wind deflectors, but I don't know, that little bit of air coming up from the bottom, well, I just touched the camera, but it feels nice when you're riding, you know, especially on a, well, can't say it's a really cold day today, but it's 80 degrees. You know, it feels nice though when when it's 80 degrees and you're going 60, 65, whatever. It feels nice. Oh, this guy's pulled over. You good? Okay. Another victory right there. What are the odds? I think that was a V92. That's an old bike. Where do I want to go from here? Could turn down. I think that's what I'm going to do. They, oh yeah. Another thing I love about this bike is the way it handles this. You know, once you get used to the weight, I mean, this thing is just flickable. It's awesome. I think Victory or Polaris, they really did a good job with this bike, making the center of gravity low. And the fuel is actually stored up top here, which I think is crazy. You know, if they did lower that, you know, to like under the seat or wherever, I think it'd be even better. But you know, the engine's part of the frame, so that helps to lower the center of gravity. I love this engine. This engine's got character. It's got, the engine alone has a personality, you know. It's a little different than a Harley. It doesn't, you know, doesn't shake you out of your seat like a Harley does, which is what I like about it, you know. Just a great engine. I love them. Another small issue is, you know, you get kind of heat soaked in here sitting after a while. The back cylinder does get kind of hot. But the pops it makes out of the exhaust. It doesn't do it all the time. It's not easily replicatable. I don't know, that's probably one of them college words I was supposed to learn. That's a 3-door or a 6-door Ford Excursion. Buy that. You know, in towns, like in town, I tend to want to keep it around that 2,500 RPM range. Just because it's a little bit more quiet, you know. Not everybody likes a motorcycle, you gotta admit that. They're loud, they can annoy people. But you gotta kind of be respectful of that. Not everybody's gonna notice you on the road. You gotta know that. Riding a motorcycle isn't for everybody. But it's for me. That's what I like about it. Especially this bike. This bike is definitely for me. I love this bike. That's basically just what this video is about, is me loving this bike. got rid of all the other bikes that I've owned. I had 2 up until last weekend. Last weekend I got rid of my FC6, which I really like that bike, but it didn't really fit my personality. Whereas I think this one does. It does a really good job of doing everything that I want it to do. You know, it's really good at long, it's comfortable as hell. Really good at long distances. The one thing I didn't like was the wind management, but I think I got that figured out. So I did buy this bike with a pretty beat up front fender. It's not beat up, but like, it had a big ass scratch on it. So this year I decided I'm gonna get quotes on getting that fixed. Look at how stable this thing is at low speeds. Like, I just had to put my foot down and I was going maybe 1/3 of a mile an hour. This lady behind me, I respect, because she gives me space. Something I've noticed about cars is when you're at a stop sign or stoplight, and they have to stop behind you, they think they can just just about lost my cool there. They think that they can just be inches away from your bike, and you gotta, like, would you do that if I was a car or a giant semi-truck? You give them space, why don't you give me space? This is kind of what I was talking about earlier in this video with long straight roads. Like, we've been going straight for the past how many miles? Probably only a couple, but we're only going 30 miles an hour, so. At least this part of this road goes up and down quite a bit. This thing is super stable at low speeds. And I love that. It does take a little concentration, you know. Any bike does. And I don't know, the lighter the bike, the easier I think it is to ride at low speeds, but this one, like, something I've noticed about this bike is you give it throttle, you give it power to the back wheel, and it goes straight up. Like, this thing could be totally tipped over on it, sitting on its floorboard, and if you gave it power, it just go right up. It's nuts. I've never been on this road, I think, so I'm gonna turn here. Next to that Dairy Queen, I think, is over here. What's up, kids? Dairy Queen. What the hell? Eastern European Food Market. I have never heard of that place. Thank you for seeing me. It's a nice day out. If it weren't so smoky, that'd be nice, but is this another victory? This is crazy. I'm saying I can't find victories anywhere. That's not a victory. That's a something. We're in the downtown. The ever so lust. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a big word. It's downtown. What do you want me to say? Another one of them tar strips right in the middle of where I want to be sitting. I didn't even hit my rear brake there. That's how stable these are. The thriving downtown. That's what I was trying to say. I don't know what else to say about this bike. This is a really cool Tahoe. I like the flat back. It's pretty neat. I don't know what else to say about this bike. You know, it's been an uneventful, you know, if you want me to say these things have tons of issues or whatever, I'm not going to say that because then I'd be lying to you. I haven't had really any issues with this bike other than the wind management. It's been great. I can't complain. Maybe that's what some people don't like about this bike is the low RPM power. It really kind of struggles. Low RPM, I think. Then again, I'm used to an inline 4 where they kind of have, I don't know, you rev them up to like 4,000 RPM off the line. Whereas this bike, you know, I mean, the red line's at 5,000 RPM. Maybe there's some getting used to. There's some. I gotta get used to it some more. I don't know. Just kind of. Okay, dude. I just feel like. It does have torque, don't get me wrong. Can I rev it up to 3,000 and drop the clutch and go fast? Yeah, I can. But like, if you're just trying to like ease into it, you know, you're not trying to drag race anybody, then it's fine, but, or, I don't know. Not fine. I don't know, like, it's not a deal breaker. It's just one thing you got to get used to, kind of, is especially when it warms up and it idles down, you know. You just kind of got to give it a little more throttle, maybe. I don't know. One thing I did do to this bike is I switched it to, instead of using the factory Polaris Victory Indian oil, whatever you want to call it, I switched it to Rotility 6. It's a full synthetic diesel oil that is rated for wet clutch. That might have something to do with it too. Maybe the clutch is slipping a little more. I'm not too sure, but I do know that I'm going to end this video right now.